All right, guys, and what is going on? This is the Club with the Man, 1993, my yearly MLB spring training preseason predictions. As I'm going to bring you my predictions for the 2019 Major League Baseball season. As we are already about halfway through spring training, I believe opening day is March the 28th, as far as I know. And looking at some of the rosters this year, for sure, I can see some of these divisions, especially the National League divisions. I really think we'll be having some pretty close races this year for the division title and the wild card in general. Couple teams to see rising, couple teams on the downfall also. But let me tell you something. There's quite a few divisions, again, especially the National League, that I think will be a pretty close race. And I mean, like, at least 3 or 4 teams will be in the running, I'd say, for this division. I mean, there's a couple that I feel are going to be kind of weak. Like the American League Central is probably going to be the weakest division this year. I still feel as it was last year. So, of course, the American League East is always dangerous. American League West should be decently fine. National League West, I think, should be like decent, but a little more, maybe a little bit more interesting than the American League West. But the National League Central and the National League East. The National League East was the hardest division for me to make predictions for this year because 4 of the 5 teams, I think, definitely have a chance to do something big this year for sure, based off of, where they were last year, the offseason acquisitions. And there's one team, of course, for sure that I think will be good if their best players can stay healthy. Because that's the problem they've been having over the past few years is their best players are not staying healthy. And as always, we'll do my, predictions for the awards and for the playoffs, too, towards the end of the season. So, guys, without further ado, let's get rolling. Let's start off with the American League first. So, in the American League, let's start with the American League West. I'd say the Rangers will place last place again in the American League West. They're still kind of in, the rebuilding stage. There's a bunch of minor leaguers. Their pitching still not too great right now. But there's a bunch of, younger talent, building their way up, like Joey Gallo and Nomar Mazara. And, of course, this is going to be their first year without Adrian Beltre also. So they're a pretty young ball club, and they're still, building up from the bottom. Not going to be, like, awful. Maybe hit the 70-win mark, maybe, I'd say. But not good worse compared to the Orioles and how bad the Orioles most likely will be again this year, maybe, unless, they pull off a surprise. And speaking of baseball, the Pirates and Rays have just swum in the lake on my ESPN alert for a nightcap exhibition game. But I think the Rangers will place last in the American League West. 4th place, one of the teams that feels going to be going on a downfall this year is the Mariners. The Mariners last year came to my attention that the Mariners, had a lot of, great veterans on the team, but they lost most in the free agency or trade, such as Robinson Cano going to the Mets in the trade, and what's his face? Edwin Diaz, their closer last year, who tied for the second most saves all time in a single season with 57, tying with Bobby Thigpen. The record, of course, is 62 by Francisco Rodriguez, aka K-Rod, back in 2012, like one of the early 2010s or something like that, or 2009. He has set that mark. But we have him leaving also. They also lost Nelson Cruz, the free agency, when he signed a 1-year deal with the Minnesota Twins. So they did gain some in some of the trades they did get Jay Bruce in the Mets trade with Robinson Cano and whatnot, but Jay Bruce could be a little inconsistent. They got Edwin Encarnacion though from the Indians though in a little bit of like a big trade also. They had some swapping going on in the offseason as the winter meetings did get quite busy, of course. I feel like their offense, if healthy, can still put up some numbers, but I feel like, of course, their pitching staff, of course, is going to kind of cause them to not go into a complete rebuilding mode. But I think, they'll be like more of like a 4th place team in 72 wins, maybe 75 wins, like a decent year. Well, a decent losing season, basically. But I don't see them really being a threat to the playoffs this like they were last year. Last year, I saw potential and them to be a threat to be in the playoffs, but they moved on from some of their bigger names. Obviously, they didn't have as many people in their farm system, though, so those trades over the offseason, the work that they did to get some, some more veterans in, but then to get, some farm system people as well. I think, it's much needed for the Mariners. So it's going to be a little bit like a team definitely on the downfall this year, but not too far down, I still say. But they're by fourth place team. Third place is the Angels. It'll be their first year in like 20 years, I think it was, without Mike Scioscia, which will be interesting. Mike Scioscia did lead the Angels to a World Series, several playoff appearances, but also some kind of ugly seasons also too. Well, nothing too ugly compared to what we've seen the Pirates or the Royals or even the Orioles. Again, nothing versus the Orioles last year. I'm sorry. Orioles last year, Tigers in 2003 with 43, 119. But I think, bring Brad Ausmussen, see what you do with the Angels. He had some time with the Tigers, did well the first couple years, but the Tigers just have gone downhill since they're kind of, they're kind of getting a little older also in the rebuilding stages also, as they will continue to be this season also, I feel, as well. But the Angels, I feel like, could be like, a mixed bag. You never know what to expect. Yes, they have Mike Trout. Yes, they still have Albert Pujols. He's up there in age. They have Shohei Ohtani, who I think with the bat at some point will be able to hit, but I don't think he's going to really be able to pitch much this year, though, because it's like so many months if you're just a batter, but it's even longer if you're a pitcher to recover from Tommy John surgery. So we may not see him on the mound, but hopefully we'll see Ohtani at the plate at least at some point this year. But other than that, they don't have really too many other, decent names on the team. So I say they will have a respectable third place finish, maybe around like the 500 mark, I think, for the Angels, and make a little bit of noise at some points of the season, but not really be the biggest threat. Of course, to Mike Trout, hopefully if healthy, because the past couple seasons Mike Trout has had a couple unhealthy seasons and he's missed some time with injuries. So hopefully he'll have a healthy season again and be able to have like another megastar MVP caliber season, which he probably could win an MVP award again this year. But of course, my thing is always that the Angels aren't in the playoffs. There's all the people who have led their teams to the playoffs and whatnot who should deserve at least a crack at the MVP award. But Mike Trout's got it before. But I like Mike Trout, so it's still cool with me. But so Mike Trout and the Angels probably place third in their division. The Athletics placing second. Definitely a huge surprise last year with how good they turned out to being with their team chemistry working together and whatnot. I don't think they're going to be as good as last year, but I still think they put on like an 85, 86 win season. The Astros are running away with this division, no doubt about it. They still got all their great young hitters. Well, a couple of them had some unhealth, had some injury plagues these last year. Such as George Springer was on the DL for a little bit of time. Jose Altuve spent a couple weeks on the DL. Carlos Correa, 2 years in a row, missed almost half the season with an injury, so he's looking to bounce back for sure. But you got Alex Bregman, who is definitely getting closer to an MVP caliber season for sure for him. They have Kyle Tucker, the rookie, coming out. Of course, that amazing pitching staff they have with Justin Verlander, Garrett Cole. They did not re-sign Dallas Keuchel as far as I know, but I think they were looking to maybe re-sign him as well. Their bullpen, this team again is the prime example of a team that started from scratch at the bottom, was pretty much a minor league team, and brought in some veterans here and there to help bolster their roster and help the younger talent season out. And look what you got, a ball team that's definitely going to be contending for the World Series for quite some time now. I think that they will have a chance with, of course, being probably the strongest team in this division. They'll probably have another 100 win season, I feel. So I hope for that. And the Astros will win the division again, I predict, this year. That's the American League West. The American League Central. Of course, I have the Royals placing last again. The Royals, of course, was on a roll for several years. Of course, with the young talent that they built up and they grabbed along the way, and I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought here. The Royals again we're on a roll. They won the World Series too, but then most of their young stars, most of them were free agents at the same time, and unfortunately, they weren't around able to sign long term. The only one that stuck around for an extra year though was Mike Moustakas, but then he's moved on now to the Brewers. So of course, the Royals had him for a while, and of course they still have a lot of people with speed, but of course they're still in the early years rebuilding. They're still a minor league team. They're probably going to place last again, probably around like 100 losses like they had last year. The Tigers are going to place fourth. Again, like I said before, they just have a lot of veterans on the team. They need to start getting some younger talent in there. It's a more experienced in there also. And so, veterans that, are still, healthy enough that they bring something to the team. But, of course, one of the biggest reasons why is their pitching staff has been down over the past couple of years. And also one of their biggest bats in Miguel Cabrera has had some unhealthy seasons. Like last year, I think Cabrera only played 38 games last year. The least he's played in quite a long time, I gotta say. But hopefully with a healthy season, he can get himself in a prime position to get the 3,000 hits and 500 home runs in 2020, hopefully, and just sealed the deal for him to lock up in the Hall of Fame. But other than that, again, the Tigers aren't really going to make much noise this year. This is probably the weakest division. The White Sox, they were rumored for a while to be signing, Manny Machado and Bryce Harper, but they didn't really make any other moves. But I see them placing third in this division, probably another losing season. The second place team is going to be the Twins. The Twins, of course, had a great season 2 years ago. They were a wild card team. Last year, though, fell off a little bit, only won like 70-some games. They got rid of Paul Molitor, but then they made him another position. I can't remember who their new manager is, unfortunately, at the moment. But I think, with the signing of Nelson Cruz up their lineup, they had a lot of great young hitters that have shown a lot of potential. I think they're getting closer to a moment where they're able to, gel well together. I think that hitting and there was some potentially good pitchers as well. So I think the Twins are going to make a run for the wild card, but maybe not quite make it this year. First place for sure is going to be the Indians, but of course the Indians, made some deals. They got rid of Yan Gomes, Edwin Encarnacion. So they did some, selling over the offseason just to, play around with some money. Obviously, since, the Indians are having part of the weakest division right now, they wanted to just, freshen up a little bit, get a little more flexible payroll money and prepare for the future now while they can. And while they're still, in prime position to win the division, but they'll probably still be kind of like a weak team, like winning the division, as I don't see them getting far in the playoffs really, but they're, again, it's a weak division. They're probably going to win the division anyway. So from fifth to first, Royals, Tigers, White Sox, Twins, and Indians for the Central. The American League East, we all know how tough this division always is, and it still will be. Orioles, sorry, but they're probably going to be losing like 110 games again this year, maybe hoping 120. And keep in mind, the Orioles did have some of their better hitters still on the team until like late July, when they got rid of Jonathan Scope and they got rid of a couple other of their best hitters as well. So, yeah, don't expect anything better from the Orioles this year. They're definitely at the beginning of a rebuilding stage. And with them being in the division with the Red Sox and the Yankees, especially with how dangerous they are, of course, right now, don't expect anything for the Orioles this year. The Blue Jays could probably place a solid fourth place, nearing 500. No, they still have a pretty good team. They have some good, veteran hitters, some good veteran pitchers on the team, but they're not going to be enough. The Rays are probably going to be a strong wild card team. Last year, despite the fact they traded Chris Archer to my Pirates, they still won 90 games last year. So their young talent has definitely blossomed out big time for sure. Great. Their pitching staff has a lot of great potential, and their hitting and defense, of course, is great as well. So I think that they're going to be, the third place team, racking up about 90 wins and being the second wild card team. So between, the Yankees and Red Sox, who's it going to be? Who is going to be be winning the division? Well, last year, the Red Sox ran away with almost 110 wins and won the World Series, which, good for them. But this year, I still see them placing second. The Yankees, of course, last year, the second half of the season, the Yankees spent most of the second half without Aaron Judge because of a wrist injury. He came back and he wasn't like completely healthy, but they just brought him back for postseason. But hopefully Judge will be healthy this season. And, the Yankees, who have a lot of power bats, and Gleyber Torres, hopefully Gary Sanchez will have a bounce back year. Aaron Judge, again, will have a full season. Giancarlo Stanton, I thought, did fine his first full year in pinstripes, definitely hitting 38 home runs and whatnot. Let's see him break the 40 home run mark again. But that, and of course, the Red Sox have great pitching as well. Don't get me wrong, but I feel that the Yankees bullpen, Devin Betances, Zach Britton, what's his face again? Aroldis Chapman. They even signed Troy Tulowitzki and a couple other free agent signings. You know, this team is, I mean, yes, you know, they have the money. They can always spend it, but they're stacked. As always, I still feel they will be the team to beat this year in the American League East, the first place team. So one more time for the American League standings for the American West. The Rangers, Mariners, Angels, Athletics, and Astros from bottom to top. From bottom to top for the Central, the Royals, Tigers, White Sox, Twins, and Indians. And from bottom to top from the American League East, Orioles, Blue Jays, Rays, Red Sox, Yankees. Red Sox and Rays will be your wild card teams. For the National League West, the Diamondbacks are going to be the team to have a downfall year. You know, they've lost a couple of big names this offseason. They lost Patrick Corbin to free agency. They had a big trade with Paul Goldschmidt and a few other odds. That's obviously the Diamondbacks. You know, last year it was their last chance. And unfortunately, they did not capitalize. So they're going to be in a rebuilding mode this coming year. But I feel like, you know, they'll probably be the worst team in this division, placing last. Maybe with like 67 wins or something like that, like 70. Like, again, that's still not great, but, you know, not like as bad as the Royals and Orioles are going to be, in my opinion. The Giants aren't going to be that far behind in front of them, though. They're going to place fourth. Again, it's towards the end of an era for the Giants. Like this 10 years for the Giants has been a great 10 years. But unfortunately, there's a lot of players that are getting older. There are a lot of people in their great pitching staff they've had that led them to 3 World Series championship wins and several playoff appearances this decade. They're moving on from that generation. And, of course, some has been to some injuries, for sure, for their pitching staff. But even behind the pitching staff, they just don't really have too great of hitting right now. I mean, they have some good hitters, you know, Brandon Crawford, Brandon Belt. Well, they're not as good as they used to be. Buster Posey. But, of course, you know, the pitching staff, you know, is not as strong as it used to be. So last year for Bruce Bochy, but sorry, Bruce, you're going out with a 70-win season. And I think at some point this year they will get a good package deal from Madison Bumgarner. He will be a trade deadline acquisition, I feel, at some point this year. Third place being the Padres. I mean, I still don't know half the team whenever they see them, but of course they've added, you know, Manny Machado to their lineup. I'm sure it's going to help, you know, change the team chemistry again. I'm just so surprised. You think I see Manny Machado also going towards a team that could use like that one more little boost, like the Phillies, or even like could have seen go to the White Sox. Who could have used that one more bat to make it a little more dangerous and whatnot. But you know, he went to the Padres, so they have Will Myers, they have Eric Hosmer, now they have Manny Machado. Some names in that pitching staff, so I think they're probably the third place team. Second place being the Rockies, although they lost DJ LeMahieu, and there's some guys like, you know, Carlos Gonzalez, Ian Desmond, a few veterans that are starting to get up there in age, but they did just sign Nolan Arenado to an 8-year deal after this is going to be the year to either sign to extension or they could have traded him because I think he was in the last year of his contract, but they signed to an 8-year extension. So Nolan's staying in Colorado, and hopefully some point in those 8 years, probably not this coming year though, hopefully sometime Nolan will finally get an MVP award. Long overdue MVP award for Nolan Arenado for sure. But the Rockies play second, but not make the playoffs. First place, the Dodgers, of course. The Dodgers, they'll trade away Matt Kemp and Yasiel Puig, but they did sign A.J. Pollock. Hopefully a healthy season from him should be great in their lineup. They still have their great pitching and whatnot. And they even brought back Russell Martin also behind the plate, returning home to the Dodgers where his career started from. And, of course, you know, I definitely love Russell Martin. His 2 seasons with the Pirates, he was, you know, a great addition to our team. Have a lot of respect for him. So hopefully, I hope the Dodgers have another good season this year. Corey Seager is going to be back also this year. He missed almost all except for the first month of the season with Tommy John surgery. I can see him having, of course, a comeback season, hopefully an MVP caliber season as well. He's definitely a future National League MVP as well, too. But the Dodgers, I'm going to predict, will place first in their division. National League Central, division with my hometown team. This is going to be a tough division also because of the acquisitions that the Cardinals and Reds did this offseason. So, unfortunately, I predicted my Pirates place last. Well, I should say strong. They're probably going to win only 75 games this year, but not a fourth or third place finish in a decent division for a last place team. Like the Pirates, I feel, even though they were without Gregory Polanco for a month, They did get rid of Ivan Nova. They don't have Jordy Mercer or Josh Harrison anymore, which I still felt personally they should have kept one of them because obviously this year they're probably going to be giving Kevin Kramer and Kevin Newman time, like, transitioning them to be taking over, the middle infield. Of course, we still have Cole Tucker coming up also. But I still feel that both of them aren't ready to be relied on to be an everyday player. So I would have rather had them keep one of them. We did re-sign Jung Ho Gung for one year. Let's see how this goes. Not too crazy about him anymore since he had his third DUI arrest and he got to play like a couple of games towards the end of the year last year. So we'll see how this goes. Colin Moran had a decent year. Josh Bell could use some power numbers up again. Corey Dickerson didn't do too bad last year. Could have had a better power season. Again, the Pirates, you look at the Pirates do have the tools to be a good team, but do they have the consistency? And with how tough this division is going to be. The Reds, on the other hand, though, always had good hitters, and they added Yasiel Puig and Matt Kemp, which I feel at least one of them, if not both of them, will most likely be traded at some point this season. I don't see them staying on the Reds long term, but of course, someone who commented in my Manny Machado and Bryce Harper signing video claimed that their main target was Alex Wood, the starting pitcher they got also, which could be a good bolster to that pitching staff, since the Reds have not had good pitching staff, which is probably why it's kept them in the basement for so long. But because the Reds have always had good hitters, even though I don't like some of them. Like, again, I don't really like Joey Votto, but I still respect him as a player. But I still feel, every time the Pirates play him, he's just whining about something all the time. But he's still a good player. They don't have Kozar anymore. They still have Eugenio Suarez, who's a great hitter. That outfield is good. Of course, they don't have Billy Hamilton anymore. He's now with the Royals, but they have a solid Gold Glove catcher in Tucker Barnhart as well. And some of these pitchers seem like they have potential for sure, but they just haven't been fully established. I think the Reds, with these better hitters in Kemp and Puig, even though they probably won't play the whole entire season, will outdo the Pirates this year and place fourth. This top three were tough to call, because the Cardinals, although they're getting older, they still always find the younger talent to come in and still be a dangerous team. Last year they came up just short in making the playoffs, but then this offseason, of course, they acquired Paul Goldschmidt to play first base. It's a very great acquisition for them. They have Paul DeJong also, who had a little bit of a sophomore slump year after a great rookie season, but with a healthier season because he did have an injury at some point last season. Hopefully he will be better. I like that one rookie first baseman outfielder had that Jose Martinez they had, and some of their pitching, like Mike Mikolas or whatever his name is, and several other pitching staff. A lot of them have great potential as well. I think they'll make a solid third place run and be one of the wild card teams. Second place in this division is going to be the Brewers. The Brewers pulled off the shocker and won our division last year. And again, I used to be a big-time Brewers hater. Like, I used to hate the Brewers 10 years ago. Now, of course, the only player I do not like is Ryan Braun, but I still think they're a really good offensive team. They have Eric Thames. They have Travis Shaw. They re-signed Mike Moustakas. They have Orlando Arcia. They signed Yasmani Grandal. Their outfield is stacked also with Keon Broxton, Ryan Braun. I think they still have Hernan Perez, I believe, and a couple other, they have a lot of great hitters on this team. Oh, how can I forget? The MVP himself, Christian Yelich, also had an amazing second half last year. Well-deserved MVP award, Christian Yelich. Definitely also one of my favorite, younger players these days for sure. But, this team has a lot of stacked hitters. Their pitching staff was not too bad last year, but if this team really wants to be more serious contenders and to be able to get into the World Series, because they came up short last year in the championship series as the Dodgers, blew by them for sure, they should have added another starter or two. And I feel that they really have not done that yet. But their offense is going to be able to give them a second place finish again this year. And the first wild card as the Central will take away both wild card spots. First place will be the Cubs again. I mean, I think they need healthier season from Yu Darvish again, get back to his form several years ago. And of course, Chris Bryant also missed most of half of last season with things like a back injury or some type of injury that hampered his season for sure. But he's going to bounce back for sure. They still have all their great offensive hitters, in that lineup as well. So I think the Cubs, with a healthier Chris Bryant, will be, pretty dangerous again, and give them another division title for sure. So the Cubs, I think, will place will place first in the National League Central. All right, the one for last. This one was very tough. Very tough indeed. And I'm very surprised I picked the Cardinals and Brewers, though. But I really think those are going to be our wild card teams. But this team, this division, like most, if you're not going to win this division, you're definitely in contention in the wild card because this division is going to be very tough. The Marlins, I'm sorry, no chance in hell whatsoever. They're going to be last place, probably with 100 losses. They're just in the rebuilding stages. Third and fourth place was tough. I originally wanted to go with the Phillies placing fourth and the Mets placing third. But here's the thing. The Mets still have some great pitchers on their team. They added some good offense as well with Robinson Cano. They still have, Todd Frazier, Wilmer Flores, Travis d'Arnaud. They still have the tools to be a good offensive team. Yoenis Cespedes also as well. Forgot to mention him. Michael Conforto also. But most of these guys have been hampered by injuries the past few years. And of course, they still have Jacob deGrom. They have Noah Syndergaard, Zach Wheeler, and they have all those big names in their rotation. But the problem is they're not reliable to stay healthy. If they're healthy, I think they can place third or even second, or they could even win this division as well. But the Mets need to stay healthy, though. If they're not going to stay healthy, they're going to place fourth. Because the Phillies had one of the busier offseasons to add some great additions to their team. They got Gene Segura in a trade from the Mariners. They got Andrew McCutchen through free agency. They traded for JT Realmuto, so they have another catcher. And, of course, just a few weeks ago, they signed Bryce Harper to that 13-year deal. I know I said Bryce Harper's deal was a little bit overrated, but still can't take away. The guy is still one hell of a player. It's mainly just he needs to, hit for a better average, I still say. The power was there last year with 34 homers, 100 RBIs, but if you can get that average up, those homers are going to go up again. You got a very dangerous player in your outfield for the next 13 years for sure on this team. I think, they're young talent, they're pitching. That Aaron Nola, whatever his name is, he's going to be a great. He's definitely getting close to ace-like material. Definitely a Cy Young caliber candidate, and several other players who I think are going to be amazing this year. So I feel the Phillies can definitely make a run for the playoffs this year for sure. Maybe at least be like an 83-win team or something like that. But they're placing third, if not fourth. But they're going to have a strong year. The Braves I have placing second. The Braves are a huge surprise team with their veterans and their young staff. Ronald Acuna Jr., who won the Rookie of the Year last year, he's a future MVP for sure. I agree. But the only reason why I didn't have them placing first is because they didn't really do anything this offseason. So, they still have a lot of great, young talent and veterans, both in the pitching staff and in their offense as well. But I think they'll place second and probably be like a game or two off of the wild card race. Because let me tell you again, guys, that wild card race in the National League is going to be so close this year. In the American League, it's going to kind of be like a runaway, I feel like, for the most part with the two teams. But the National League is going to be very close. And first place at the Nationals. I know they lost Bryce Harper, but they had Adam Eaton out for most of the year last year with an injury. Their pitching staff, was a little inconsistent last year, but they re-signed they signed Patrick Corbin. They got Yan Gomes from the Indians, which would be a great addition to them. Of course, they still have Anthony Rendon. They have Trey Turner, Ryan Zimmerman, even though he's injury prone. They added Brian Dozier to their lineup, I believe, this offseason after he had a very terrible 2-month run with the Dodgers. Hopefully he'll get back on track like he was when he was with the Twins. This lineup is still stacked. Their pitching staff, when healthy, is still one of the best pitching staffs in the league for sure. And I think, in a new era now, the Bryce Harper era is over, but this team still has a chance to contend for sure. And as long as that pitching staff stays healthy and consistent, they have the offense, they're still going to be a great team. And they probably get like 96 wins or something like that. And I see them winning the division. So for the National League, one more time, we have in the National League West, from bottom to top, Diamondbacks, Giants, Padres, Rockies, Dodgers. Central, Pirates, Reds, Cardinals, Brewers, Cubs. National League East, Marlins, Mets, Phillies, Braves, Nationals. Going to be one heck of a close division of the National League East, I got to say for sure. Again, the wild card teams are Brewers and Cardinals. American League MVP, I think will be Alex Bregman of the Astros. Again, he's so close to getting an MVP caliber season. I think he will get it this year. If not, then maybe Aaron Judge or Mike Trout. I love to see Stan win the MVP award also, or JD Martinez or Mookie Betts, last year's MVP. I think it'll be Alex Bregman. National League MVP, I want it to be Corey Seager. I mean, it could be Chris Bryant. I can see winning. Also, people said also maybe Anthony Rendon of the Nationals. We could see that happen for sure. Bryce Harper, has an excellent year. He can be an MVP caliber. Also, Christian Yelich could, maybe, have back-to-back MVP seasons. I would like to see that also happen, but I think it's going to be Corey Seager, who's due to be an MVP. Cy Young for American League, I'm really pulling for Garrett Cole. My former ace for my pitching staff had an excellent first year with the Astros last year. Of course, he's in tough competition, of course, with him and, his own other buddy, Justin Verlander. Of course, there's Chris Sale and Luis Servino also out there, and several other pitchers. Well, Blake Snell also from the Rays, who came out of the blue last year and had an excellent year for sure. He's definitely a candidate also, but I'm pulling for Garrett Cole this year for the American League Cy Young Award. National League Cy Young, as long as he's healthy, it's going to be Clayton Kershaw. Injuries past couple years have prevented him, and it's gone to Max Scherzer. But I think Clayton Kershaw, if healthy, will be not MVP. Well, maybe MVP, but he will be Cy Young Award winner. Rookie of the Year, American League, Vladimir Guerrero Jr. for the Blue Jays. Now, I know he's suffering injuries and keep him out for about 3 weeks, but he'll be up at some point this year, tearing it up. He's got a lot of potential, and I can't wait to see Vlad Jr. come up. And for the National League, Nationals outfielder Victor Robles. Pirates actually almost got him a couple years ago. Remember, the offseason, not of the 2017 offseason. 2016 offseason, the Pirates almost traded Andrew McCutchen to the Nationals one day. And I think we were supposed to get Victor Robles in return. But the trade did not go through. But I think he will, find a spot for himself on the main roster, and he will definitely be the National League Rookie of the Year for sure. American League Manager of the Year for the American League, I got Kevin Cash of the Rays. He definitely in contention last year. Did not happen though, but I think he will be American League Manager of the Year. I think he went to Bob Melvin last year of the Athletics. And then National League Manager of the Year, I got Dave Martinez for the Nationals. I think he's going to get the Nationals back, to a division title. I can also maybe see, again, if not him, I think if the Phillies at least make a good run, I'd like to see it go to Gabe Kapler. I think he has a chance also to be making, getting a what am I going for now? They're making the Phillies, a contending team for sure this year. But I think my number one choice still is Dave Martinez, if not Gabe Kapler, Phillies manager. And comeback player of the year, American League, it was tough. There's several comeback players of the year candidates, but I'd like to see it be Miguel Cabrera for the Tigers. He's had some injury plagued seasons the past couple seasons, and he's definitely up there in age, but I feel like he can come back, put on a couple more, really good seasons before he retires in a couple years, probably, as he's 36 this year, I think it's going to be. Yeah, only 36. So maybe he has a little bit more under his. I'd say at least another 5 more years for Miggy. 4 or 5 more years for Miggy, I got to say. Can't believe he's already that. Oh, remember, he was just a young kid playing for the Marlins. But I want to see him get comeback player of the year. If not, then I'll also say maybe Carlos Correa would probably be my second choice for comeback player of the year. For National League comeback player of the year, Madison Bumgarner of the Giants. I think he's going to again, I say he's probably going to be a big trade deadline candidate this summer. But I think he's going to have because past 2 seasons he's had some injuries, whether it's a shoulder injury or a motorcycle accident last year that kept him out for 2 months. I think, though, that he can come back and have a healthy season and, at least probably go to another team. I think he'll get comeback player of the year. For the playoffs, in an American League Wild Card game, Red Sox will beat the Rays. Nationally, the Cardinals will defeat the Brewers. I got the Red Sox over the Rays because the Red Sox are supposed to start a better team. Same, even though the Cardinals probably going to place third, I feel like with their experience still, even though the Brewers put on a great showing last year, I think it'll be a close game. But the Cardinals pitching is just a little bit better than the Brewers. I think despite the fact that Brewers will defeat them in the division, the Cardinals will defeat them in the Wild Card game. American League Division Series 1, I think it's going to be 3-2. Astros over the Red Sox. Get hopefully just some healthier seasons from Correa, Altuve, Springer. Again, Bregman's going to be more dangerous. I think that the Astros will dethrone the defending champions in the division series. So it's got that there. I think the Yankees will sweep the Indians 3-0. The Indians are going to be just like a really weak team in the playoffs this year, I feel, in my opinion. Even though they still have some good talent, they're not going to be as deadly as they have been the past couple years. But I think they're going to get swept in the playoffs. National Division Series 1, I had the Cubs over the Cardinals 3-1. Again, with some healthier names that such as Yu Darvish and Chris Bryant this year, hopefully, I think they'll be able to make a strong run in the playoffs again. Nationals, I think, will overcome the Dodgers 3-2. Dodgers still have great offense, great pitching. The Nationals, well, I know that if they bring it together, they can still be a dangerous team with their offense and the great starting pitching staff as well. Even their bullpen too, but definitely the starting pitching staff. I think they'll be a close series, 3-2. They're going to the championship series. American Championship Series, Yankees over the Astros 4-2. I think the Yankees have, if all those hitters are healthy, I mean, the Astros is going to be dangerous as well, but the Yankees have the better bullpen, I feel, and that's why I still really think the Yankees are going to overcome the Astros. 4-2. National League Championship Series, Nationals will overcome the Cubs 4-3. It's a new era now, no more Bryce Harper. I mean, Bryce Harper could have led them to the World Series, but, it's kind of like, a fresh mindset now for the Nationals. I think they can go to the World Series, but they will fall short as I predicted last year, and I still going to predict this again. I think it's going to be the Yankees this year. 4-2 over the Nationals. World Series MVP will be Aaron Judge. My pick for the World Series win. And guys, those are my MLB 2019 preseason predictions. Again, I was doing my best to try to get more baseball content up here and episodes on video games. I'll still be doing that throughout the season as well. But leave your thoughts down in the comment section below of your preseason predictions as well. Who's winning divisions, awards, any other predictions you have, where the playoffs going to look like, who's winning the World Series, who's your World Series MVP. Leave your thoughts down in the comment section below. And be sure as always to click buy, like, and subscribe or comment on my channel. And follow me on Twitter as well at DemandError93. And guys, I will see you guys all later on for whatever may come next. So until then, guys, have a great rest of your night and peace out, everybody.